Welcome to the Ultimate Job Search Strategy session. I'm really excited to have you here today. My name is Steve Cullen, and what we're going to be talking about is Ultimate Job Search. Now, this is one of my personal favorite programs because what we do in Ultimate Job Search is we teach you how to effectively go throughout the entire hiring process in the best possible way to get a position with a Fortune 100 company, Fortune 500 company. And there's just so many things through each step of the process, from just getting your resume done, getting clarity on what you want to go after. There's also applying to all these different companies and the different areas that you can go into, such as LinkedIn, Indeed, there's monster.com. And there's so many corporate websites you can apply to as well. Everybody is kind of aware of the corporate websites. Those are typically the longest, most drawn out applications when it comes to applying to a position. So I just want to jump right into this. And a lot of people really don't understand how this works. And I think you're going to be really happy to see this. Let me just put this up here. And it's what I refer to as the hiring funnel pyramid. And this is an upside down pyramid. And this is the way that it works. I'm going to try to draw a nice accurate pyramid here. And just getting this in front of you right now and just seeing this is going to give you a great idea of, hey, how does this work? What am I getting myself into? And this is one of the first things that I go into when I work one-on-one with a client. If I go to a business university, I'm speaking, and there's a class getting ready to graduate, just knowing that you're going into this process, I think, is tremendously helpful. And so this is a statistic, scientific study was done on how most Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 100 companies go through hiring a candidate. And this is what it looks like. And it generally starts out with 1,000 people see a position. They see a job post on LinkedIn. They'll see a job post on monster.com. They'll see a job post somewhere online. And from that point, 200 people will actually start the application process. So out of 1,000 people who see it, 200 people apply. Out of that 200 people, 100 people will actually complete the application. So let's put like a little post up here. See the job post, 200 people actually, apply with their pen or pencil there to a post. 100 people actually finish it. 75 people will get completely filtered out at that point. Okay, now that's typically done by an ATS system. If you don't know what an ATS system is, you can hop over to our other program, which is Executive Resume, and we go into a lot about the ATS. But it's just a system that most Fortune 500 companies use to filter their resume. It's a computer system. So out of those 100 resumes and applications submitted, 75 get filtered out, which leaves us to 25 people that are still left in the hiring process for this position. It could be, an engineering position at Anheuser-Busch, let's just say. So out of that 25, 4 to 6 people will be invited to interview. Okay. Now this could be either a phone interview, it could be an in-person interview, and then you have 1 to 3 people who end up making it all the way to the very end. Now, this is, obviously we're talking about an in-person interview, second in-person interview, could even be a third-person interview. And finally, what happens is only one person, obviously, will get to the end. And that's where you've got the company extending an offer to the job candidate. And 80% of the time, a candidate will actually accept the offer. So this is how the hiring pyramid looks for most Fortune 500 companies. When you look at companies like Google, Facebook, if it's one of the companies on the 100 best companies to work for, if they're on that list, you could even be looking at more than 1,000. It could be anywhere from 1,000 people to 5,000 people. So this is what you're going into, and obviously it's very competitive. We're going from thousands of people down to 200 to 175, and ultimately only one person gets the position. So you have to take a step back and say, what are these one percenters? And it's really less than 1%. One person out of 1,000. What are these people doing differently than most other people who are applying positions? They're out there getting help. They're reading books. They're getting strategies from people who've already worked from these companies. They're investing in programs and getting knowledge. They're having conversations and networking with people. So this is really the things that you need to be doing if you want to get to this offer. And the people that are getting to this point, this isn't happening just by chance, luck, or happenstance. These are people who are really invested into getting this figured out, to sharpening their skills. They're people that have been practicing, interviewing for probably months on end. They're not just going out one night and, I'm going to go and apply, and then, I'll go interview and I'll practice for maybe a couple hours and just dance through this. This is really well thought out, deliberate people that are getting to this point. And that's what we help people do, okay? And what we do in Ultimate Job Search is we go through 8 different areas. So it's 8 modules that you get to go into on our site, and these are classes that I teach. And we go with, and I'm just going to just read it here because I don't have this whole list memorized yet. But it's the strategy and mindset. That's number 1. The second, we do the elevator pitch. Your elevator pitch is really important just because when you pick up the phone and you talk to a hiring manager, the first thing that they're going to ask you is, tell me about yourself. And that is your elevator pitch. Your elevator pitch is who you are, what you're looking for, where your core competencies lie, and that's what they're looking for on that elevator pitch. Third is the resume. Fourth is the cover letter. And then we do targeted networking, cold emailing and networking. We go through the interview formula, and then we do salary negotiation. So there's 8 modules that we do, and that really takes you through the whole hiring process. At every step, we tell you, what exactly you need to do to set yourself up as a candidate who's going to get a final offer. If you don't know what to do at any level of the game, whether it's at the end, during the interview, during the hiring process, if you're having sticking points right now with just getting a lot of people on your phone, calling after you submit applications, and this is a great program for you to get into because we teach a lot of people how to fill their pipeline and just get that phone ringing off the hook to where you can start setting interviews, you can start having engagements with recruiters, get your emails coming in saying, hey, are you available on Wednesday to talk? This is Susan at Energizer. I'd love to talk to you about XYZ position that you applied for. You should have a lot of these emails coming into you, a lot of these phone calls coming in. We talk about the best day of the week to actually send in your applications to get the most responses. There's just a lot of things that we cover in this program. And one thing that I like to just share with people in the very beginning is there are just so many people out there applying for positions. And it's very competitive. And I think this kind of embodies the traditional mindset of a lot of people out there who are applying to positions, and that is, you can just look at the statistic. It's 427,000 resumes are posted every week on Monster.com. So these are people that are just going out, they're depositing their resume on a website, and they're just hoping, pick me. And that is really going to be a tough strategy. I think a lot of people who do this end up getting a lot of insurance positions offered to them, a lot of commission-based positions. It's really a tough strategy if you're going to go through Monster.com. Other people like to use LinkedIn. I am a fan of LinkedIn, in case you're wondering. I think LinkedIn is a great tool. but it's not the only tool. And so, you've got these, write it up here, LinkedIn, there's Monster, Indeed, and there's others out there too. There's the corporate websites, and these are the typical forums that people go to submit their resumes, and the resumes go into these computer systems at these Fortune 500 companies. They're called the applicant tracking systems, and 75% of the time, these applicant tracking systems just send candidates' resumes into the wastebasket. So these are a couple decent ways. LinkedIn and corporate websites. I don't think Monster is that great, or Indeed, but LinkedIn's pretty good. Monster, don't waste your time with. Corporate websites are okay. A lot of corporations, even if you go through a friend who gets you into the company and you network your way in, they still want you to go to that corporate website and apply so that they can find you in their system. So just a little tidbit there. But these are not the only ways to get yourself into a company. And what I do in Ultimate Job Search is I sit here and I tell you, here are the most effective ways to get into a company. Even if you don't have somebody who works at the company, you don't know somebody who works at the company, there's other ways to get in that are 1,000 times quicker than this. And that is what we help people do. And we give you the strategies to do that. It's brilliant. And you can get in a whole lot faster and not have to go through the pain and the hassle of getting your resume filtered out 75% of the time. I mean, just think about that for a second. If you spend 8 hours on a Saturday, let's say, just applying to positions, and you knew that 75% of your time would be wasted. And that's why I do this, because I think it's just ridiculous that the people have to go through this to find jobs. It gets me, frustrated, and I don't want to see people have to go through this. So we invented all these programs to handle this. But there are much better ways than LinkedIn, Monster, Indeed, and corporate websites. And I go through that in our first videos, our first few videos just about the resume and what to do with your resume, so you don't have to get caught up in this maze and deal with your resume getting filtered out. What I also want to go over is just talk about networking for a second. That's number 3, is networking. I call it power networking. So there's things that you can do to power network with people, and I can't go too much into this because it's really a long thing. There's a lot of information that we provide on power networking, but most people, especially younger people, and this doesn't always include younger people, but a lot of younger people say, I don't have a network. That's what they say. Or people who are seasoned career professionals. Let's say you've been in, a great company for 20 years, 10 years, 5 years. A lot of millennials, younger people in their 30s, they only stay at a job typically about a year and 3/4. So what we'll hear too is, I just don't know anyone at that company. And these are some of the things that we hear. I don't have a network. I just don't know anyone at that particular company that I want to get into. And we teach people how to power network. And that is, even if you don't know somebody, we'll teach you how to befriend somebody at a company, get together with them, make them your best friend in a completely non-manipulative way. Because we teach you basically the foundational skills of networking and what you need to do to create a powerful web of people who you exchange value with, not just one time, but ongoing, become friends with them. And that's really what networking is all about, is finding some great friends, reaching out to people. It's just brushing up on your friendship skills. And people, I think it's marvelous actually, because a lot of strangers, I mean, complete strangers, the help that they'll give you is marvelous. They'll become your friend and they'll pour out um, more value into your life than even some of your own friends. So if you're saying, I don't have a network, well, that's just not true. You do have friends, former colleagues, relatives, aunts, uncles, people who your aunts and uncles know, former neighbors, people you met once at a conference. You do have a network. So if you're saying that, that's just not true. And the second is, if you don't know anyone, this will teach you how to open yourself up to networking, and people who you meet can do extraordinary things for you. So you don't always have to know somebody. You can meet somebody and they can put you into really high places. And we've had candidates do that, just get into, really high places with complete, I call them new friends, not strangers, but brand new friends. You make brand new friends. And when you do that, I was talking to a candidate who got together with somebody from Williams-Sonoma. And within about a week to a week and a half, 2 weeks, he was already interviewing with the company. The person that he had chatted with said, listen, I'd love to help you, blah, blah, blah. Let me send a quick email over to the recruiters and hiring managers because I know them. I used to work over at that company, and I'd be happy to get you in touch with the right people. And when you get in touch with somebody at a company and you get an internal referral, the speed at which you move through the hiring process, it's like being attached to a rocket. You move so incredibly fast, and the process usually goes about 65% faster. When you're getting an internal referral, those are worth their weight in gold. So we teach you how to do that as well. But internal referrals are incredibly powerful. And that is the whole purpose of power networking, is to get internal referrals from companies so you can shoot down the whole hiring process. And I will say this too, is if you get an internal referral from a company, whether it's Google, Facebook, Monsanto, Yahoo, AOL, whoever, PricewaterhouseCoopers, you're going to just fly right through the process. And in addition to that, you are treated so much better too. And this is not the case with every company, but you will be treated like gold. They are really friendly to you because you know somebody who works at the company, and it's great. They'll give you immediate responses and the emails that you send. By the way, I just wanted to confirm this. They'll get right back to you. You are prioritized. You're at the highest part of the list, whereas people applying through the corporate website, LinkedIn, Indeed, Monster.com, they're all below there on the totem pole. So internal referrals are the highest place that you can get. We go through that with the power networking video that we give you in Ultimate Job Search. But if you think you don't have a network, you do have a network. And if you just don't know anyone right now, we'll teach you how to meet the right people in great companies, Fortune 500 companies, and get into some good conversations with them. We give you the tips to say, the things to say, and that'll greatly help you. So I also want to talk real quick about mindset when it comes to applying to positions. And our first video, I should have started with this, but I really like to show the pyramid, the hiring pyramid, when we start off with candidates. Mindset is really important, and you might just say, oh, he's going to talk about mindset and psychology and, This is really important, and what I'm going to give you right now is probably going to blow your lid off. If you've probably never heard this, but it's really, really important that you do hear this, and you might want to write it down. And that is, the most recent study showed let me write this up here. Bear with me here for just a minute. And let me get out of the way. It took 100 applications to generate 2 phone calls back and 2 engagements back from recruiters. So that means if you're out there and you apply to 100 different jobs, the statistic shows that you'll get about 2 responses for every 100 job applications. So this might be mind-boggling to you. If you're watching this, you're like, oh my gosh, I've only been sending out like 5 applications or doing 4 applications a day. You need to crank it up, and you really need to crank it up, because you're not going to get the responses back by just doing I'm going to do 1 application a day or 3 or even 10. What I suggest to everybody who I get to speak with and engage with is you need to figure out a way to ramp it up to about 20 to 30 applications that you're submitting daily. And once you get up to that point, you're going to see the dam break and all the water start flowing out of the dam and water your fields that need that water. So you need to motor up to speed. A lot of what I talk about too is taking massive action. You need to be getting lots of calls flowing into you. If you don't have lots of calls from recruiters and emails pouring in right now, you're probably not applying to enough positions. So this is the mindset that you really need to have going into any job, is you need to apply and apply and apply and apply to a lot of positions. Every so often we'll get a candidate on the phone, and sometimes I'll answer the phone, and they're like, oh, I'm really waiting to hear back from this one position. And it's very surprising to me. I'm not as surprised as I used to be, but some people get so emotionally caught up in just 1 position or 2 positions, and I'm going to wait to hear back, and I hope I hear back. And this is a complete numbers game. It's a total numbers game. Don't ever get emotionally wrapped up around any one position. If the hiring pyramid is any indication of how this is a numbers game that can go anybody's way, out of 1,000 people applying, do not get wrapped up emotionally into any one position, even if you're in deep stages of the interview process with them, because it's still anyone's game at that point. When you boil it down to 5 people, interviewing in the final stages, you've got about maybe a 20% chance, 15 to 20% chance of getting hired, statistically speaking. So this is what I share with people. You need to be sending in lots and lots of applications to generate the phone call responses from recruiters. And there's, like I said earlier, there's the right way to apply to companies and the wrong way. If you're going to Monster and LinkedIn and all of those other websites, 75% of the time it's going to prove unfruitful, depending on how your resume is structured and so on and so forth. But there's much better ways. And there's the one thing I will say too is people say, well, it takes such a long time to fill out these applications on these websites. It takes like 20 minutes. My whole day is getting taken up doing this. There's faster ways to apply to. There's much, much faster ways to apply to where you're not spending 20 minutes to 30 minutes sending in an application. So we teach you how to do that as well. We teach you basically how to do 30 to 40 of these in a day and spend about maybe 2 to 5 minutes on each one. So if you want to greatly save time going through this, that's really the key and how you get your information out there. Because you need to talk to a lot of different people and get yourself out there connected with a lot of different people to get just these 2 calls from recruiters. And you need to do it as efficiently as possible. And that's what this is about. Ultimate Job Search is about going through this process as efficiently as possible and getting your time and your money's worth out of it. You want your time to be fruitful. If you're putting in 8 hours a day, and I don't recommend that, by the way, but if you're putting 8 hours a day into applying to jobs, you want that time to be fruitful. These are hours of your life, and you need to get into a great position. So this is one of the foundational things, and I'll say it again, that I teach any candidates that I work with, and I really don't do one-on-ones anymore. But it's 100 applications that you'll have to send in to get around 2 phone calls back. Use that as a benchmark. Use that as a benchmark of your mindset. So if you're only out there and you're doing a couple applications a day, I know I'm going to hear back. It's not going to happen. You need to crank it up. Now, what I'm going to talk about next is really the interview process. And this is one of my favorite things to talk about because I think it's so important, because where most of the weight rests in any hiring process, I mean, most people at some point, if they take enough action, will get the phone calls coming in to talk with a recruiter. And if you do relatively good on the phone with a recruiter, you know, they'll let you talk to a hiring manager. And recruiters, they're just recruiters. They don't know all of the details about the position and all of the responsibilities. They've got a general understanding. So a lot of people, if you can get on a phone call with a recruiter, if you're pretty good on the phone, if you've got good interpersonal skills, you'll be able to get more than likely to that next phone call with a hiring manager. But where a lot of this weight rests is in the interview process. The in-person interview process is about 70 to 75% of this whole thing. That's where all of the importance is, because when you sit down with somebody, it's for real. They are sitting there evaluating you. In some cases, it's a borderline interrogation, because they're trying to find out, are you the right person or are you the wrong person? If you're the right person, let's keep this going. If you're the wrong person, let's get them out of here. And it's because no hiring manager or director or recruiter wants to make a bad decision and look bad at their company. Usually hiring mistakes are very costly to the companies. And this is just the truth. And it doesn't sound nice. It's not nice. And they're sitting there and they've got a plan. They're going to go through their plan. They've got all these questions for you. You need to go in with the plan. You need to go in with well-written questions. You need to be able to speak to the responsibilities. And we go through a lot to get candidates prepared. And I'm just going to go into this because interviews, they can be almost a borderline interrogation depending on who you're sitting down with. Some people are really tough when it comes to interviewing. Sometimes there's the angry there's the angry interviewers, and they try to intimidate people. And so what I'm going to talk about here, and this is going to be tremendously, tremendously helpful. What I call this is shifting the interviewing dynamic. Okay? And the reason I will say this, I say sometimes they can be a borderline interrogation, is because they're just meeting you for the first time. They don't know you. They don't know if you're trustworthy. They don't know if you're credible. For all they know, you just made up all that stuff on your resume, and your LinkedIn profile could be totally fabricated. They don't know. And they're people too. So they've got their doubts, and that's why you're being called in. That's why they're not just handing you the position, right? So what happens is, let me just go through this. A lot of these interviews, and a lot of the big companies, especially Fortune 100 companies, Fortune 500 companies, it'll be a 3-on-1, and that's why I call them almost borderline interrogations, is because it's 3 directors, 3 hiring managers. It could be a director, recruiter, hiring manager, executive vice president, CEO, CFO, depending on what position you're applying for, obviously. And it's you there, and you're just getting hit with all these questions. And that's why I call it a borderline interrogation. And there is a way to get out of this and change the entire interviewing dynamic to where, instead of just question that you're getting hit with, you can really change the way this whole interview process unfolds to where it becomes more it's more of 4 people having a discussion, and there's value flowing each way, and the dynamic becomes more conversational and relaxed in nature. And the way that you do that is you need to build trust with them. And that's done in several ways. So we go into how to establish rapport. and trust. And I call that, if I'm running out of room here, and build trust. There's ways to do this, and it's done in a very careful way, and you have to go into the interview prepared, but we go through strategies on how to build rapport and trust, because ultimately, if you're not establishing rapport and trust during your interview, then it's just not going to happen. They need to have rapport with you. There needs to be trust. There needs to be general likability flowing between you as a candidate and them as the people who are working at the company. They need to like you to hire you, right? I mean, that's what it all comes down to. Nobody's going to hire somebody that they don't trust, that they don't like, that they're unsure about. So building credibility and trustworthiness and likability, I spend a great deal of time on that. And let me just say this. If you're saying, oh, that just sounds really nice, and I like the way that sounds, Steve, but I really don't buy into that. If they don't like you, they're not gonna hire you. And if they like you, they'll do anything they can to help you. And I've had candidates sit down just based off of our establishing rapport techniques, and they sat down, they did exactly what we said within 5 minutes in the door. The interview started off kind of vague, and the hiring manager started, this was the most recent candidate that we worked with, and the candidate said a couple things, they shook hands, and it was kind of getting off to a slow start. They did exactly then, at that moment, what we talk about doing to establish rapport, trust, and credibility. And the entire interview just completely changed. And the hiring manager actually looked them point blank in the face and said, "What can I do to help you?" And that's how profound of results that we're talking about. Not many people know how to do this, and they just walk into their interview with a resume, and they're like, "Here you go." And hiring manager takes that resume, and they're supposed to believe everything that you're saying based on a piece of paper. It's a very tough line to walk. And that's what ends up happening to people. They just hand their resume over. You know, here you are with your resume, and you're handing this over to each one of them, and then the questions start firing off. And that's not what you want to do. It's not what you want to do, and that does not build credibility, and it keeps you just showing up to an interview with a resume and not a clear strategy on how to build rapport and trust. It's going to keep that dynamic, because they're going to continue asking questions, because that's what they're trying to do. Is they're trying to build trust. They're trying to get you to increase their levels of credibility, increase the levels of trustworthiness with you, and increase the likability with you. But that's not the only way to build trust and credibility and rapport, by just getting pummeled with questions and answering those questions. And at the end, once you are done answering those questions, you still may not have, increased that credibility, trustworthiness, and likability with them, because you can only get so far with questions. So there's a different way to shift the whole dynamic of the interview, the whole feeling of the interview, and have it take on a whole new dimension, and to get them to say, "Wow, like, okay, like we know that you're credible. Let's. So what can you do for our company?" And it's profound what happens when you do this. And so, what I want to get to next is I'm gonna have to look at my notes here. Do this. And you've got to obviously have the experience. You can't not have the experience and go in there. And even if you are really likable and you do establish trust and you do come across as credible, but you're really lacking the experience, you're probably not going to get the position. If you're pretty qualified, maybe you'll still get it, but you have to have experience. But I just want to get into this. And even if you're really qualified, even if you're really, really qualified, you've got great credentials, and maybe you're just rough around the edges. Maybe you're not that friendly. Maybe you're not that likable. And we can help you with that, by the way. And that's what we do in this program too. You have to remember that people hire people. And they're not hiring a candidate. They're not just hiring somebody to do a job. They're not just hiring someone to sit at a desk. People hire people who they're going to be working with every day. And so are you exuding the things that people want to be around every every day when you're in the interview? Is what the way that you're speaking, the tone of your voice, the body language, the things that you're saying, are they exuding qualities that people are going to want to be working around each and every day? Okay, and this just goes into number 7. I think this is so important. You got to know what they want. Part of selling, and this is selling, when you go into a company, you're selling yourself. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. You're going in, and this is selling. You're selling them on your skills. You're selling them on your experience, trustworthiness, credibility, and your likability. It's knowing what they want, okay? And part of what they want is they want to hire somebody who's going to be great to work with, not only from an experience perspective, but also from a likability perspective. And what you really need to do, and I'm going to have to fit this in down here because this goes right into this, is you need to sell them on your skills and experience related to what they need. Hopefully you can read this. But you need to know what they want when you go in there. And that's looking at the job requisition, the job description, and really knowing the skills that they need, the experience that they need, completely what they're looking for. And you need to be all about selling them on your skills and experience related to what they need and what they're looking for. That is one of the critical things. Now, one thing that people tell me is that they don't know what people need if the job description is really short. Okay? There's a lot of short job descriptions out there. And includes Fortune 100 companies, Fortune 500 companies. Sometimes the job description can be maybe 3 sentences. And then it says, we're looking for, someone who can be responsible for a P&L statement, that encompasses, $12.5 million, blah, 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 in advertising. And I'm just making this up, so that probably didn't sound that great. But, there's a bunch of fancy jargon on there, and you can look at a description and just say, what is this really talking about? Like, what are they wanting me to do? And what you can do is when you first sit down, boom, say to them, I just wanted to share with you, I looked over the description, and it was a really short job description. And you know what I would do, actually? I would recommend doing this with a recruiter. The problem is a lot of these recruiters just don't know enough about the position. And if they don't tell you, maybe they can find out for you. If they don't, they say, well, you can ask that when you go in there. Start of the interview, say, this job description was really short. And I really want to make sure that I'm speaking to a lot of the things that you're looking for in this position. Would you just mind telling me a little bit about what this position really is? Because I really couldn't understand from the job description what this really is. And I don't want to waste your time, and I don't want to sound silly when I'm in here interviewing and speaking to things that I don't have a full understanding of, and I'm sure you could appreciate that. And just being that honest with somebody, most people say, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go in there and tell them that I don't know, and sound, unsure about, the position. They're going to appreciate that level of honesty and showing that kind of vulnerability, and that actually increases your ability for them to relate to you and to establish some rapport. So it also allows you to get back to what I'm talking about here, is knowing what they want. I went to a position a number of years ago, and it was for an e-commerce position at a company, and the job description was so short, and I got in there, and the guy just sat down and he goes, tell me what you would do. And I just sat there. I go, frankly, sir, I I don't understand the full job description here. It was very short. It was only about 3 sentences long, and I understand that you're looking for somebody who's got experience in e-commerce and logistics, and I understand that you're looking for this, this, and this. But can you just share with me the big picture of what you're trying to accomplish real quick, and and then I'd be willing to share. You know what I said too? If I'm not the right person for this position, I've got a lot of friends and a lot of high places. A couple of them are looking for great jobs in this same sector right now. I'd be happy to refer them to you because I want this to be a great fit for both of us. And when I said that, he nearly just, he was pretty blown away that I had the courtesy to say that, and also the forthcomingness to say, hey, can you just share with me what we're really talking about here? So you can find out about the roles too in other ways. I would encourage you to do that. You don't want to get into that position, but if it ever does happen to you, that's one thing that you could say. But you can research positions on LinkedIn. This is a free tip I'll give you. If you don't know what the position really entails, go on someone's profile on LinkedIn who's already doing that at the company and just see if they've got any bullet points on what they're doing on a given basis. What their daily responsibilities are, their responsibilities in that position. That's a really good way to flush that out and really have a picture of what you're getting into. Another free tip there. So you really need to be able to sell them on your skills and experience related to what they want and what they need, and forget about yourself for a second. Make it all about the company. Too many people go into these interviews and they're like, oh, I'm going to get the position. I'm going to get the position. I'm going to get the position. And that's their mindset. And you really need to be in the mindset of, what do they want? What do they need? And how can I fulfill that need for them? And make it all about the company. That is one of the most crucial things that you can do. And it's going in with the mindset of give, give, give. Showing a greater concern for the company and giving them value throughout that whole interview in terms of what you can offer them, how you can fulfill their needs, how you can bring your experience, skills, and creativity into the position to really help them through the problems that they're going through or the challenges that they're going through. You can find out the challenges that a company is going through, especially a publicly traded company, by just reading the news on Google, looking at their 10K annual report, and so on and so forth. But you need to be in the mindset of give, give, give when you go into these interviews. And tell them about let me write this. And tell them about the value, the convenience, and the skill you'll bring into the position for them. Okay? So, wow, here's how I'm going to handle these types of things for you. Here's the value that I brought into my previous company. Here's what I can do for you. And here's how my skills are going to relate to your needs right now. So that's really what you want to do. And once you get to, we go through the offer too, and how you can, there's things you can say at the end, to solicit an offer from a company, initiate next steps. Going about an offer is challenging. An offer negotiation is challenging too. We go into offer negotiation, how you can get, an increase in pay or an increase in benefits. This is something that you want to be careful about, because if you go about it wrong, you can really shoot yourself in the foot with a company if you come across as too strong, too aggressive. And once you actually get the position, if you're going through these serious negotiations on price, it can really set up the wrong dynamic from the beginning. If you're beating somebody over price, or salary, I should say, it can set up a not so good feeling when you go into that company to work. And here's a guy, he wants an extra 50,000 or 60,000. So there are also times 60% of people don't even negotiate a salary; they just accept it. And I don't think that's the best way to go about it at all. You definitely want to try to negotiate more benefits, more time off, time to go, once a month. Get off on that Friday early to go attend a professional business conference or seminar. You can structure those things into your resume. And so we go through that. And just kind of getting down the totem pole later into this hiring process is we teach you different things at Ultimate Job Search in terms of what you need to do to solicit an offer. So when you're interviewing, there's things that you need to be touching on and just salt and peppering your conversations with to draw out that offer from the company. And what I say to people, I think we're at number 7 here, is when it comes to an offer, what is an offer? An offer is an agreement. It's an agreement between two parties, right? And ultimately, the company, has to solicit the offer to you. They need to give you the offer. I mean, you can ask for the offer. There's ways to do that. A lot of people say, well, should I say something to them at the end of the interview, and then that way they'll give me the offer? It doesn't work like that. It's predicated on what you do during the interview. Really draws that offer and gets you to this place. And so it's an agreement between two people. And you need to be agreeable in the interview. And we go into that is this person agreeable in the interview, or are they disagreeable? If you're disagreeing a lot with the people who you're interviewing with, they're talking, and what do you think about this, David? We just went through a couple shifts in management here, and they've got some new policies, policy such and such, blah, blah, blah. Would you agree with that or disagree with that? Yeah. And what you want to do is you never really want to disagree with people in an interview. You want to come across as likable. And if someone's voicing their opinion on something, you definitely don't want to disagree with them, because they're voicing and vocalizing their beliefs. And beliefs are some of the strongest things in the world. And if you disagree with somebody and they're talking about their beliefs about business practices, and so on and so forth, you can challenge somebody. You can politely say, I'd like to challenge you on this one topic that we're talking about here. Would you be okay with that? And ask permission. But you want to be agreeable as possible, because you know what? People, your best friends in life are people who you share the same beliefs with. Okay? People who share the same beliefs, they commingle, right? That's your family, that's your friends. They're all hanging out together because they share a lot of the same beliefs, thoughts, and attitudes. It's the same for a company culture. And so if you come across in an interview as disagreeable, you're not really, touching points, you probably don't want to work there, but they're not going to want to bring you into their company culture. And disagreement is never going to produce agreement. So there's things that you can do to be a part of their culture, and that's one of the key things that we help people with in the interview process and in strategy and Ultimate Job Search. We go through how to answer all of the interview questions and the best way to structure answers, provide you with answers to a lot of these questions. And you're going to have to tailor them to your personality, your experience, and just your overall feel. But we help people in the interview process with strategies on how to be perceived as being the right fit for that culture. And it's really what you're demonstrating through your attitude, your physiology, the things that you say, the way that you answer questions, and how you're interacting with the people you're interviewing with. So this is a big thing. People hire people that they like. They don't hire people that they dislike. So you want to be as likable, as friendly, and be perceived as being a part of that company culture. Because ultimately, what does every recruiter say? If you ever hear any recruiter speaking, hiring manager, I wish I had $1 for every time I heard it. We just need to make sure that they're the best fit. We need to make sure we're just looking for the right fit. We're looking for the best fit. We want it to be a good fit. We want to make sure that this person's the right fit for our company. We want them to be the right fit for our company. We want them to be the right fit for Nestle Purina. We want them to be the right fit for Energizer Anheuser-Busch. We need them to be the right fit for our company. You start to see that these things are important. So we teach you how to become a person who is the right fit. And sometimes this is just an attitudinal adjustment. So we go through a lot through Ultimate Job Search. Again, there's eight modules that we go through, starting with strategy and mindset. Second is elevator pitch. We go through the resume. And I really didn't even touch on the resume that much other than in the beginning. And I could probably just, we went through the applicant tracking system a little bit. I think this is number 8. But most people don't know how to structure a resume. And we need to talk about this for a second. As we go through Ultimate Job Search, how to go about creating an effective resume. And I will tell you, people don't know how to do this. There are so many people. That's why 75% get filtered out. This is bleeding on me here. It's probably because I've got too many pieces of paper. Am I going to lose this on here? Hang on with me. I might have to tear these off. So 75% of resumes get filtered out, right? So most of these never even get seen by a human being, right? There we go. So that is a profound number. So most people out there are just going through the hiring process, sending in their applications, and they're never even being seen. So what we talk about in the beginning is how to effectively structure your resume, how to set it up for success in the beginning, and actually how to go through and make a resume so that your resume won't get filtered out, so that your time will be fruitful. And it comes down to a number of different things. If you are using generic templates, a lot of people, just go online. This is a common college piece of advice, or many people in the job search world. Go out and use that downloadable templates, download a template. So many recruiters, especially at Fortune 500 companies, have seen every resume template out there. You do not want to have a resume that looks like everybody else's. A lot of people will copy bullet points too. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to insert this into my resume. Or I'm just going to use that entire resume I found on xyz.com. You need to have an original resume. And if you don't, even if you're one of those people, the 25 resumes from that hiring pyramid that do get through, you want your resume to stand out. A lot of this comes down to layout and color. You can put a little color in your resume, the way that you structure it, this should be a beautiful canvas, your resume. And I'll just leave it at that, but you want your resume to stand out from the rest of the stack. For recruiters got a bunch of resumes. Okay, this is black and white. This is black and white. Okay, what is this one right here? You've got a nice, beautiful resume. That's going to stand out. And when you're not at a company, I always share this with people. If you're not at a company physically and you're not going to be standing there in the corner and say, hey, I'm over here. Can I talk to you now? Can we have a conversation? It doesn't work that way. I mean, you're usually sitting at home and they're working, they're calling people, they're setting up interviews. You want your resume to stick out because they're going to be thinking about you every time they see your resume. And you want that to be an attractive document because that's an attractive document. They're going to hang on to that. They're going to value it. If it speaks value, they're going to want to keep that around, keep looking at it. They're going to be thinking about, Jennifer Davis, look at this resume. I've been looking at this. I've read it again. I'm going to reach out to her. We had a great conversation the first time around. Jennifer was polite on the phone. She was, she's pretty bubbly, and she had a good level of experience. She presented herself well on the phone. I think it's time to call her in for an interview. So you want to have a nice polished, and that's the way it works. Um, Obviously you can prompt people through an email reply. Hey, I just wanted to follow up with you, Mrs. Smith, on the open position for accounting, senior accountant at Ernst& Young. Very much appreciated speaking with you the other day, and I look forward to hearing from you. So that's one way to prompt, but you want to have an amazing knockout resume from the beginning that's attractive, because ultimately your resume is going through the entire distance of the hiring process. I refer to it as the golden cord, the golden thread that runs throughout every single stage of the hiring process. It's what starts the introduction with the company. It's what keeps the conversation going half the time. And even when you're not there, they're looking at your resume and they're thinking about you just based off that one document alone. And when you are in the interview process, whether it's on the phone or whether it's those in-person interviews, they're constantly looking at that resume. So so I'm looking at your resume here, and it says that you did XYZ at this particular company. Can you just elaborate on what you did in that particular position and tell me about some of the challenges that you had? They're looking at your resume. So it's going to go with you all the way from the beginning, all the way to the end until they give you an offer. And if they don't give you the offer, then, you're going to be using that resume to go out and apply to new companies. But what we teach people in Ultimate Job Search is how to get the offer. And it's how to speed up your entire hiring process with companies. Because so many candidates just spend so much time out there, and they're out there for 6 months, or they're out there, I'm not going to be able to write on this anymore, that's fine. They're out there for 6 months, or they're out there for a year, and it just doesn't work. In terms of getting into a position quickly, and you can't waste time doing that. So if you're in a job search, and I haven't said this yet in any of our videos, but if you're in a job search for a year, you are spending so much money on insurance, so much money out of pocket on groceries, so much money out of pocket on gas, car insurance, home insurance, or rent and mortgage. The expenses that'll take out of your savings, if you have a lot of savings, is just profound. So you really need to help and invest in the right technologies. And what this is designed to do is it's designed, Ultimate Job Search, is designed to speed up the process, increase your effectiveness at each stage. It's about speeding up the process, increasing your effectiveness at each stage in terms of your resume, in terms of the applications that you're sending in terms of your interviewing skills and abilities. We're increasing that at every stage of the process. And the ultimate goal is to get you the offer. And this is going to be elicited by all of the behaviors that you're demonstrating and the things that you're saying in the interview. So for those out there who are like, what can I say, at the end of the interview to get them to give me the offer? That's not the right mindset, because what you're saying during your interview is what draws that out and elicits that response from them. And there's things that you can say at the end to make yourself seem like you're a serious candidate, and that you seriously value this position, and that you seriously care about the day in the life of the position. That's what I tell people, is you need to be asking questions at the end of your interview to each person who you're interviewing with that makes it seem like your whole mindset is fixated on what you're going to be doing in this position each and every day and what you're going to be tackling for the company. So I hope that this has been very, very useful to you. I think a lot of this information is more than likely something that you've never seen before. I hope you got a couple gold nuggets out of this. And let me just say, if you're looking for gold and diamonds in terms of advice and strategy, that's what this program is filled with. We don't give this away for free. This is valuable information, proprietary information, and I don't encourage anyone to share this with any other party, because these are great things, great strategies, great tools that you'll be able to use your whole life. These programs that we've designed will help you throughout your entire career when it comes to interviewing, applying for jobs, establishing rapport, credibility, trust, and likability with the people who you're interviewing with, and help you to secure offers that are going to bring in a great salary for you and for your family, and help you generate a great lifestyle and career for yourself. So that's the goal of this this ultimate job search. It's all about speed and efficiency. And there's too many people out there, they can't go through this process that quickly because of lack of knowledge, or that efficiently, again, because of lack of knowledge, tools, and strategies. So that's what you're going to get in Ultimate Job Search. What you can do is you can sign up on the link below. From time to time, we do close the program. If we have a large influx of people, we'll close the program. It can stay closed at a month at a time, and then we'll open it up eventually. If it is closed right now, sign up on the list below and get on the waiting list. As soon as they open up, as soon as spots open up, we will give you a call or send you an email notification, and you'll be able to enroll into the program. And overall, I would say make sure you take notes, go through the program in its entirety. And this is actually what I say too in the first introduction to Ultimate Job Search on the other side once you get into the members area, is do not skip any of the videos, because a lot of what we teach in the early videos is essential to creating success in your whole hiring search. So if you skip over any of the videos, it's not going to help you. It'll only hurt you. You want to go through all of the videos, go through all of the modules, and get that great career advice that's in there. And if you're wondering, what our credentials are, you can see all the companies on Hired&Co who we've helped people get employed at and start careers or transition into careers. And we've sat down with tons of people, directors, hiring managers at Fortune 100 companies, and we know exactly what they're looking for. And you can see our Fortune 100 program where we do that. But these are the things that we'll help you with in Ultimate Job Search. This is one of my favorite programs because it's our only program where we go through every stage of the hiring process, from the beginning with just mindset, applying to companies, structuring your resume, going through the interview process, networking, cold calling, cold emailing, establishing a network, and then just going all the way up into the end with that offer. So this is a complete program. We've got other programs that focus on different core competencies, but this is what you'll get in the program. And if you have questions, you can call above if there's something that I didn't touch on. And I'll just say, we only have so much time in these videos for me to touch on so many different things. And I wish we could do longer videos, but you can touch, pick up your phone, call up the 800 number. Any representative, can answer any questions that you have. Or you can chat below if you just want to type in a quick question below. Our people there are there to chat with you. So I wish you the best of luck on your job search. Get tools, get knowledge, and get the skills that you need to get this part of your life handled, whether you're looking to just transition from one career into another great company and take a step up, or whether you're looking to get out of college and start a great career for yourself, whether you're looking to transition from one industry to the other. We can help you with all of these different things. And we help people at every stage of the game, from executive to mid-level career, C+ executives, people coming out of college, people just trying to get internships as well. So we'll be happy to help you no matter where you are in terms of your career experience. I wish you the best of luck. Thanks for tuning into this career strategy session for Ultimate Job Search, and we look forward to serving you.